by her slick down side. There's no kernel.
What'd you say you looked like?
A skinhead. Well, look at the old forehead all back here.
I know.
And nothing there, you know.
I know.
No
Well,
curl, no nothing.
It looks cute anyway. We're doing the best we can with our quarantine hair.
That's for sure, because it's long in the back.
Yeah.
It's driving me nuts.
Mine's really long too. So we're recording.
I know.
Oh yeah.
Got a few little wispy.
Yeah, I see that.
Sticking out there like a whole witch.
That's all right. So we don't have news about the
reports or
the kidney. We don't have that yet because her doctor needed to gather up all the information from the other doctor. So they're supposed to contact us, or we will just see them in a month. So we don't know about the kidney. But the congestive heart failure, what we found out was that it's not congestive heart failure like you would think with like trouble breathing or an abnormality in heart function. The heart doesn't need any surgery. It's doing everything that it's supposed to do. It's not clogged. It's apparently with the high mercury, which is causing the pressure to be off. The pressure is not what it should be. So what he said was that they're not going to do anything. There's no medication for it. There's nothing that she could do different than she's already doing. He said that the water pill that she takes is good enough. She needs to stay on top of that. Other than that, everything's okay. He said that it won't cause trouble breathing. It will, though, cause the legs to swell, which they've been doing. So, anyway, nothing really new to report there. And so we see him in 3 months. What else? Oh, he thinks that there might be something up with her thyroid because there was some funny stuff in the blood work. So that's another thing that her primary wanted to look at. So when he figures that out and then figures out the kidney stuff, we'll know more at that time.
That's a big mess. That's what it is.
It's never ending. That's what we've learned.
Yep. And anything could happen at any time.
Yeah.
So it's not a guarantee that it will happen.
No.
But it's just something that they have no control over, really.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing the best they can with me. And if I kick the bucket tomorrow, it was just my time.
Yeah.
And if I go on for the next 10, 15 years, then it's my time to live and try to enjoy what I can do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't think you're on your way out anytime soon. I think you've got quite a little bit of time. So.
Well, we will see what happens, and there's only one thing that I feel like I haven't done that I should be doing.
What is that? Jump out of a plane?
No. I have no desire to do that.
No? It's not on your bucket list?
Pardon me?
It's not on your bucket list?
No, it's not on my bucket list.
Okay.
But, no, mine is talking to the minister here in town and ask if he would be the one that would do the service whenever I do go. And even though I have not attended the church and everything like I should have, but whenever you don't drive and you don't have someone that can go and take you, you know, there's no way that Phil's going to do it. So I have not been able to attend the church that I would like to see and get to know the minister.
Well, there's a ton of them in town.
Well,
and I think actually right now we're not allowed to go to church because of the COVID. A lot of places are doing online church. But so I guess we can think about it. Tom and I go to one. Well, not often. We haven't been in years, but there's one. It's really beautiful and really nice, and everybody's super friendly, and so you and I can talk about that when the churches open back up and we can go. Maybe you can try it out and see for yourself what
I
you
was
think.
thinking about just giving him a call, if I can call and talk to him on the phone, and everything as of right now until things kind of open up again as to where they're having church services. And but I would like to make those type of arrangements in case something does happen, and be prepared, have that prepared, you know.
I think a lot of people just have the funeral home usually has a pastor that kind of hangs around or works with them, and they will sort of, I don't know what it's called. Do they officiate the burial? I don't know what that procedure is, but they are the ones that say the things.
Well, the what I was talking about is usually they ask a few questions about the family and everything, you know. But I was baptized in the Church of Christ, and that was in Stockton. And then I was baptized in Albany, close to Richmond, and that's where Grandpa and I both was baptized when Mark was only, well, he wasn't quite 2 years old. And so that was the only minister, but then he got up and he talked about the guys that worked a job and didn't attend church services. And we left because he was working on a Sunday too. The minister was. But he was downgrading all the guys that was not attending church on Sunday, and they was off on their job. And so Grandpa got mad and raised Cain at home, of course, and everything. Says, I'm never going back. Well, he didn't go back to the church that we had been baptized in and everything else. So but that's where I was baptized.
Do you know what was my mom or Mark or Phil baptized in church? Did you have them baptized?
No, they was not. They had the choice of picking out their own place that they wanted to be baptized, or if they wanted to be baptized. none of the kids was baptized. Not a one of them.
My mom was. My mom and I got baptized in a river.
Well, I didn't know anything about that.
Joyce did it. We had like white nightgowns and we got baptized in the river. It was actually like really beautiful. I think I was probably 16.
Nobody had ever said a word.
My mom was sober. She wasn't drinking anymore at that point. I think we were still living in Morro Bay. She got baptized. She has a Bible. I have it now, but a Bible with her name. Joyce, that was like our baptism gift. She bought us both Bibles with our names on them.
See, I didn't know anything about that. Somebody stole my Bible that Robert Small had gotten for me whenever I was 7 years old.
What did it look like?
White. It was a white Bible with the gold edges of it. And I had wrote a few things in there that after that happened, or when that happened. But
did you have it in Alabama? No?
No, somebody took it right after I moved to Alabama. And I couldn't find it. And I've never found it since. And I'd like to get a hold of the person that did take it, because she had bought it for me, which was something very rare.
Yeah.
And for me to get any kind of a gift from her.
Yeah.
And Louise never got anything from her. She only had 3 grandchildren, and they was all Charles's kids. There were Shannon and Chuck and Joe. And that's the only grandkids that she recognized.
Claimed, yeah.
Even though we done a lot of stuff for her. Especially me, because I dropped whatever I was doing most of the time and go and try to do whatever it was that she wanted done. And of course, when Dad was sick and everything, Granny, she was the one that, seen about him getting to the doctors and so on and so forth. And if there was something special he wanted, because he didn't drink and he didn't smoke, after he found that he had emphysema. And so we was there to, help, and I'd go and if I would stop by and sit to see him, which was almost every day. And I'd say, is there anything that you want from the grocery store? And he usually said, oh no, there's nothing I really need. And I said, but Dad, if there's something you want, tell me and I'll go get it. And you'll have it here when you get ready for it. And he'd say, well, he'd think of some little something, peanut butter or some kind of jelly or something that maybe he'd like to have. And I'd say, okay, if you're sure that's what you want, and I'll go to the grocery store and get it for you. Or if there was something to drink, that he wanted, and like that. And so we waited on him like crazy. And if I didn't have Phil, because Phil was just learning to walk, he'd say, don't you come without bringing that baby. And he was crazy about Phil. You wouldn't know it to this day, but Dad was crazy about him. much more than your mom or Mark, because they was a little bit older, and they just found a book and said hadn't read it or went through it. And then we'd get ready and go into the grocery store. But I took all 3 kids and done the same thing with the grandkids whenever they was with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tried to take them to see him and Robert's mama whenever they was older and everything, couldn't get around and go very much.
Mm-hmm.
But I've done a lot of things for my grandparents and tried to do for my great-grandparents whenever they were still alive.
Mm-hmm.
And like little grandma and everything else, and that's how I got pictures of the kids when they was still just little. Phil was like 2 years old, I guess, whenever Granny, little grandma, come out with Lil and Betty Joe to California. And so I got a picture of him, and he was just toddling around, and your mom. And I couldn't find Phil in the Mark in the picture, but he was there with all of us. And then as Phil got older, of course he remembers going back when we took the bus and went back to Arkansas, and Granny was still alive, little grandma.
Mm-hmm.
And she, Lil, which was Robert's mama's sister, actually threatened to cut his dick off with a knife, and she had a butcher's knife that's that long.
Wow.
And she was chasing him all over that kitchen.
Wow.
She said, "You cut that out, try to take my picture, I'll cut your dick."
Jeez. That's wild.
And John was sitting in the chair about falling to the floor, asleep, because he gets got up so early at the time, and to go milk the cows. And so anyway, here he was about to fall out of the chair, and Phil would go over and say, John, wake up, you're gonna fall on the floor." We got the biggest kick, and we was there almost a week and stayed with them. And then we had gone to see Grandma Wade when she was there, and so we visited with her too, and everything too, while we was back there. And then we came back home, and we didn't go back then until, oh gosh, I even forgot what year it was that we went back there again. But I miss seeing so much of my family, because most of them was back there.
Mm-hmm.
And Kathleen and Jane lived in Arkansas, and then Maxine lived in Missouri. And we went up there to her house, and that's where she lived, and she had married the contractor that built their house and everything, and they had the 2 boys. And then she had the one boy by Paul, and that was her first husband, and he has the one that has the Howard Johnson's motels and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and restaurants back along the highway back there. And so Phil was able to see the horses because they had huge barn with all kinds of Appaloosa horses and everything. And that's where that if the one little colt had been born alive, he would have been worth $10,000.
Oh, wow.
But he was born dead.
Aw.
And so they was just absolutely devastated about losing that little colt.
Yeah.
He was a beautiful Appaloosa colt from what Maxine had told me.
Well, very sad.
And now she is gone. Jane is gone, which was Daddy's youngest sister. And so the only one that I think is still alive is Kathleen. And her daughter is the one that woke up paralyzed one morning. And she couldn't even get out of bed. She was paralyzed from the waist down. So I don't know if she's ever straightened up, good or not. I have no idea.
I took care of a lady that kind of had that happen. I don't remember exactly, but it was like she was in her early 40s, like 41 or 42, and it sort of started like her vision was kind of funny, and then all of a sudden she just woke up and was like nearly paralyzed. And so when I started taking care of her, she was still young. I mean, it had newly happened to her, but she at that point had gone to physical therapy enough that she could kind of get around with a walker. Or a wheelchair. Well, she couldn't get around with a walker, but she could stand with one. And then mostly she was able to use the wheelchair. But I was there with her basically to meal prep. So she could barely use her hands, but she could use them enough that she could move like a carton of food that I would prep for her and put it into the microwave kind of thing to heat up. So she could do little stuff for herself, but not a lot. It's crazy.
Well, I don't know what extent that Janet had, or if she ever got to the point that she could even walk.
Yeah.
But the last count I had, she was still paralyzed. And she couldn't get up and walk or anything.
Yeah, it's sad.
So, and she had two boys, I think, that I've never seen. I don't even know what their names are or anything else. So I don't know. But her husband was an attorney there in Arkansas. And I guess really quite well known, and up on the ball with stuff. But I never knew him really to the extent of being friendly with him or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that's about the only thing I know about Janet, and I knew that J.W. had died whenever he was quite young. And of course left her, and then she was raising Janet, and everything. Then come to find out that Janet had the paralyzing stuff. So I don't know if Kathleen's still alive. I have no contact or no way to contact her, really. I know where she lived, the road she lived on, but no telephone number or anything else. I don't have that. Or I could even try to call her and see, what's going on with them. So,
maybe Tammy or Candy can kind of look up those people, try to find some of the people on Facebook and get you in contact with them, get you their phone numbers or something.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Tammy, I was just sitting here and I was thinking about, to close up this video,
Mm-hmm.
why don't can you think of a story, your favorite story about something about Tammy when she was little? Like, did she do something that was funny or super cute, or what was like a good, maybe just good qualities or something?
One of the things that I always think of is if Grandpa went in the kitchen to make biscuits,
Mm-hmm.
Tammy was right there with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so she would help him make biscuits in the morning for breakfast.
Cute.
And they'd be the big old biscuits, this big around and probably about that high.
Uh-huh.
But she'd get right in the middle, and boy, she'd work that dough and everything else. And she was only like about 4 years old.
How cute.
And so I've got a picture at home of her in the kitchen next to the stove in the cabinet with Grandpa.
Oh,
and
really?
making,
Does she have that?
I don't know if she does not.
Well,
But
Tammy,
I have
if you're
it.
listening, speak up so we can help you get that, a copy of that if you don't have it, because that is a precious memory, I feel.
Yeah, you see Grandpa's arms and hers, but she's in that bowl
Uh-huh.
with the flour and stuff in there.
That is
So
so
in the
sweet.
morning.
That's very cute.
So that's basically one of the things that she loved to do was get in the kitchen with Grandpa.
And did Grandpa have that recipe from his mom? Or
Oh, I'm sure he did from her. But I don't have a copy of that recipe. All my recipes that I had from her was taken.
Yeah.
And I have no copies of any of her recipes
Well,
at all.
I wonder if Janie would have them from Edna or something.
I doubt it. I don't know.
Well, again, Tammy, keep your eyes and ears peeled. Maybe we can get our hands on that biscuit recipe somehow. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Because I've lost a lot of recipes that of things that she would make.
Yeah.
And
I'll look through my mom's recipe book from, it was probably her first and only actual handwritten recipe book. I'll look through there and see if there's a biscuit. I don't remember seeing one, but I haven't looked. Yeah, I haven't looked in there in years, so we'll see.
She had several recipes that she had gotten from, her sisters and everything, because she was just one of the 6 sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Annie, which she was known for the cookies and everything, that's where that all came from.
You know what, Candy, when she was still living down south, not when you were down there, but when she was still with Ernie, she had recreated Aunt Annie's cookies with a bunch of different ingredients, like same cookie base, but I remember one of them was chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
And so she had sort of like made different flavors of them. And so I went down there to hang out with her for like a little mock holiday, and she had all these cookies, and she's excited about it because everybody loved those cookies. And then I had to come clean, and I had to out myself and tell her that I have secretly hated those cookies my whole life. I never liked them. But
oh my gosh.
I know. So then when Grandpa would make them, I couldn't say no because he was so excited about it. I would eat them anyway, but I never liked them. I never did.
Yeah, see, I love those cookies.
Everybody did. Everybody loved them.
Yeah. but I don't have that recipe or anything.
That's like one of those
now.
like skeletons in my closet that I've had for my whole life. That I'm the only one that didn't like those cookies, and I never wanted to be the odd man out and say, "Oh, I don't like these," but because everybody did, and I thought, "Oh, well, maybe I'll like them as I get older or something," and I just never did. Like,
well, everybody has their own thing, though,
I know. I remember the ones that Candy made, though, being really good. Like with a little added little switch of the flavor.
Uh-huh.
Those were very good. So
yeah, you could do so many things with those cookies.
Yeah.
You could add nuts, you could do coconut, you could do, so many different things with the basic recipe.
Yeah.
And that's usually what Aunt Annie would make.
Yeah.
Was just the basic recipe, and then whatever anybody done from that, that was up to them.
Yeah.
But
maybe I'd like to try to do it myself.
Yeah,
and see what I could come up with also.
And maybe with peppermint candy crunched up in it, or
even pumpkin, like a pumpkin cookie for the holiday.
Right.
Yeah.
So you could change it around just many ways.
Yeah.
And that's what the kids all liked. And I haven't made those things in, I couldn't tell you how many years. Because it was way after, well, when Phil and Bonnie moved out of the house. It'd been probably a year or more before they moved out that I had made those cookies.
You know what I've done over the years is I've made the potato candy. But mine always turn out ugly. They never they're just really blobs mixed together like a bonbon, because I can never get it to roll out smooth like Granny. It always kind of wants to crack and or I can't get the potato
consistency.
I can't get it right.
Together.
Yeah, I've been able to roll them into a log, but then when I start cutting, they just kind of turn into a little blob. So, but people love them. They taste delicious. So even if they're ugly, it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, and that's true. But Granny's was always beautiful.
Yeah.
Those slices was just perfect, and I can't even get them to do that.
Yeah.
Mine is just absolutely turns back to liquid almost.
It does. Yes. I remember, I think you had told me you do 1 potato, 1 bag of the confectioner sugar. Well, I remember having to add way more bags because it just kept going to liquid. So I would just keep adding and adding. And then I tried to use a smaller potato the next time, and that still kept turning to liquid. So I don't know.
And one year I stood there and watched her make the candy. And she used just a small little potato and sliced it in half and used just half of that little potato and went from that and made and she'd have maybe 2 dozen little pinwheels.
Well, that's definitely one area that I've gone wrong, because maybe that's what I need to do, perfect the small batch, and then just maybe if I can perfect it in a small batch, I could just make it that way, because I kept trying to make a big potato because I would be taking it to the big family dinners, holidays, so I would want to have enough. That's probably, so I need to just do a half or a quarter potato to start and see what happens.
Yeah, and everything. That, in fact, that's even like the other day, Phil fixed me a pork chop, and a normal sized pork chop is like this. Whenever he brought my plate to me, that was a pork chop like that.
Oh, wow.
And it was about that thick.
Wow. It's like 4 times the normal size.
And so me and the 2 dogs had pork chop. But I have to bite it off of the big one and then bite it into at least 2 to 3 pieces and feed each one of them. And they sit there and wait for me to do that because I have to do it. My smell has to be on that pork chop or they won't take it.
Oh, wow.
Now that is getting pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. I think we can all acknowledge that. That is pretty bad.
But last night we had a pork chop, and that thing, I swear to God, it was about this big, and it had to be that high. It was delicious, and it was done perfect. But good God, I got so tired
Yeah.
My jaws was hurting.
Yeah. My pork chops always turn out dry. I stopped cooking
this one wasn't.
Yeah.
It was just absolutely delicious and everything. And he had fixed cauliflower to go with it and cottage cheese.
Sounds good.
And so that's what I had. Well, I got the cauliflower and I got the cottage cheese, but they got the pork chop. So